Now, as the historians mentioned that we have a series of events which triggered for this incident. So now let us find out what are the series of the incidents. Let's focus on the French society in the late 18th century. How is the French society? How is it divided? Who is actually ruling the France? Let us find out the details now. France was ruled by Louis XVI. He belongs to Bourbon family and he ascended the throne in 1774. Louis XVI, belonging to a royal family, got ascended to the throne in 1774 and he got married to Austrian Princess Mary Antoinette. So Louis XVI, who came into power, the young king, he was just 20 when he ascended the throne. So after he got married and he ascended the throne, he went to find out what is the status of the treasury. When he opened and found out the facts that the entire treasury was empty, this brought a severe shock for a newly wedded married king. So Louis XVI found a shocking point, that is the treasury was empty. Why the treasury was empty? Later he started to find out the reasons why is the treasury empty. So in his process of understanding why the treasury was empty, he came to know that France has supported the American colonies to fight against the British. So when France has been supporting these 13 colonies to fight against the Britishers, lot of money has been spent and lot of manpower has been sent there. So this long years of war has drained the economy of France. Finally, it resulted in a continuous credit from the outsiders at a very high rate of interest. So it has crossed $1 billion livres and now the total loan amount has gone up to 2 billion livres. The 2 billion livres is really a very huge amount, and the creditors, the people those who gave money for the government, started to charge more percent of interest on behalf of the increase of the credit. As the credit has increased, the percentage of the interest also has increased. Now it has been raised to 10%. Now the France economy is completely in trouble. Continuous wars like supporting the American colonies to fight against the Britishers for 7 years, 7 long years, has completely drained the entire wealth of France. And now these creditors who gave the loan amounts are charging very high rate of interest. So finally France has to pay huge amount from its financial transactions in order to pay the interest for these people, and also to run the royal court, to run the government offices, to run the schools, the colleges, the universities, hospitals. All these are still becoming an overburden for the French government at that time. So now there is no other alternative left out other than just to increase the tax on putting the burden on the people directly. So this is a situation in 1774. Let's find out now. Louis, who got married newly to Austrian Princess Mary at very young age, and he found that the treasury was completely empty. So in his process of learning what made the treasury to be empty, he learned that 7 continuous years of wars supporting the US colonies to fight against their colonial masters, the continuous and permanent enemy of the France, that is Great Britain, that resulted in huge loan amount for them, and finally it accounted to a total credit amount of 2 billion livres. So this 2 billion livres, the creditors who gave this loan amount started to charge 10% of interest, which is a very high rate of interest at that point of time. So now there is no other alternative other than increasing the taxes and putting the burden on the people in order to maintain the royal court, the government offices, the schools, the hospitals, the universities and everything. So let's find out what happened next. As there is no other alternative left out, they need to increase the taxes because they have tried all the alternative methods, but any of the measures could not suffice the economic crisis in France. So in order to maintain this, they need to increase the taxes on the people. So let us first throw light on how is French society divided. French society is divided into 3 estates. The first comprises of clergy, the first group. The second, the nobility. And the third, it consists of merchants, court officials, lawyers, peasants, artisans, small peasants and also all the landless laborers. So the entire society has been brought into the bracket of 3 estates, that is the clergy, the officials who work for the church are coming under the umbrella of clergy, the nobles, the feudal lords, they enjoyed the feudal privileges, who are closely associated with the monarch come under the bracket of nobility, and the rest, merchants, court officials, lawyers, peasants, artisans, small peasants, landless laborer, all were brought under the third estate. One of the other significant feature which we need to remember is the first 2 estates, that is the clergy and the nobility, are exempted from any kind of taxes. This is given as a birth privilege to them as they are born in the higher estates of the society. So from this it is very clear that the third estate itself gets all the taxes burden and they only have to pay everything, while these people enjoy the privileges on the name of the privileges given by the estates and also enjoy with the money paid by the third estate people. Now other than this, 60% of the entire cultivatable land is under the control of nobles and the clergy people, while they also enjoyed the feudal privileges. As I mentioned earlier, the nobility has the privileges of feudalship where the landless laborers have to work for the noble lords, then only they will be respected in the society, and they are forced to work for very less wages or sometimes no wages. And the churches used to collect taxes other than the taxes which are collected by the government, that is the tithe and tiling. Tithe is 1/10 of your produce comprising of agricultural produce, and the thili is a direct tax collected by the church. Now the society is divided into 3 estates, which shows the clear bifurcation of the society, and which categorization itself reveals for us that certain special privileges are given for the first and second estate. Those are clergy and the nobility, and the third estate people are merchants, court officials, lawyers. These all are must to pay the taxes, and it is mandatory for them. They have to pay all the taxes, not only to the government but also to the court officials, and they also have certain special privileges which force the other workers or the landless laborers to work for them freely, and they also have to pay the taxes like tithe, which is 1/10 of your produce, and taille, which is a direct tax collected by the church. So this is a broad picture of the society of the France at that point of time in the later part of the 18th century.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.